Hello, welcome to the first episode of Monkworks. I am William O'Connor, and I'm going to be doing a series of digital sketches and some traditional sketches and posting them online for you to enjoy. So please leave your comments after you will see the video on what you'd like to see me draw, what you'd like to see me paint, and any tips or help you might have, any comments you might have is great. So for the first episode, I am just going to do the simplest sketch. This is a 9x7 300 dpi Photoshop file, real simple. I'm using a Wacom tablet, and I'm going to do, I think a sketch of a dragon would be a good start, since that's what most people know me for. So I'm going to start out with one of these middle mauve tones, and I'm going to fill my foreground with that. So that'll tone my paper. I like working on toned paper, whether I'm working traditionally or digitally. I almost always start with toned paper. It just gives you something better to start with than a blank page. So I'm going to get a darker version of that. And let's see, my opacity is at 50, my flow is at 100. That's a good way to start. I'm going to just be really quick and light. That's something that you'll notice pretty much every way that I draw. Everybody draws a little bit differently. My technique is usually using broad-shaped lines to define form. And as you see me go, you'll know what I mean. It's pretty simple. I'm just using lines, and I'm working very quickly, and I'm trying to get the whole thing fitted into the composition. So I'm trying to go from point A to point B and, crisscross the composition and get my main element, which is the dragon, centered, or not necessarily centered, but situated, composed on the page properly. So I'm really just working with basic shapes here, and that's something that I always try to encourage young artists, beginning artists, to really focus on is do not worry about the details. And this is why, again, don't worry about what kinds of pencils you're using or what kind of paints you're using or what kind of software application you're using. It's at the sketching learning phase, it doesn't make a real big difference. Just sketch. Don't worry so much about what you're sketching or how you're sketching. Just get in there and do it. Because that's really the only thing that's going to make you a better artist, is to really understand, get experience, get hand-eye coordination, muscle memory of sketching. And that's, like I said, the same whether you're sketching digitally or traditionally, or painting digitally, or painting traditionally. The special effects of what brushes you're using, and what techniques you're using, and what filters, and all that jazz, that is all just special effects on top. Those are all just, you want to really focus on your fundamentals of drawing, which are basic shape, basic design. See, that's creating a tangent there. So I can fix that. Just block in this so I can start creating positive and negative shapes, because you want to look at your negative shapes. They're just as important. I've said this before, your negative shapes are just as important as your positive shapes, so do not forget them. Bit of a lag there. Shouldn't be. Maybe just too big a brush. Shouldn't have a lag, but that's okay. So you can see at this point I'm sculpting. I'm really just sculpting these forms, these shapes. I'm going to keep this very short today. Just try to really get this. In the future, I can do multi-part pieces. I can do multi-part videos where I start on a piece and I go through it for several episodes. I can do we can do episodes on landscape, we can do episodes on character design, we can do episodes on pictorial storytelling, we can do episodes on composition, we can do episodes on texture, on form, on color, on history. We can do pretty much anything you guys are interested in. So I really want to hear from you about what you'd like to see. I'll be using different applications and different techniques for different projects. Like I said, this one is my first, and I'm trying to keep it simple, and I'm trying to keep it fast, and I'm trying to keep it universal. That's really important too, is that I don't get too specific with the techniques or with the skill sets here. That I don't get into too much, minutia or computer wonkiness, where we start talking about particular brushes or particular techniques that are only specific to a single application or a single kind of computer or a single kind of tool. So you have to feel obligated to go out and buy that tool or own that tool in order to get that effect. I'm going to really try to keep the demonstrations as universal as possible. So that's why I'm using this old copy of Photoshop, is because Photoshop has been the sort of the gold standard. Everybody else's applications kind of copy Photoshop. I'm not a big fan of Painter. One of the reasons I'm not a big fan of Painter is because it's too complicated, especially when you just want to paint. It's so complicated, mixing colors and custom making brushes and there's layers and there's effects and there's so many steps and there's so much. I find that it's actually faster to physically pick up paint and make a real painting than it is to paint in Painter. So I hardly ever use it. And nowadays, with other applications that you can get at a fraction of the price, I highly recommend things like ArtRage or other painting and drawing apps that you can find online or at your app store, which are really perfectly acceptable drawing tools, and I highly recommend those. Getting in here with a little bit of detail, I've lost track of my time, so I don't know where I am. I know I'm probably over 10 minutes now, so I'm going to keep this. Hard to do a sketch in 10 minutes of any sort of, anything more than a thumbnail. So I think what I'll do, don't want to upload giant files that are like 45 minutes. I don't think anybody wants to sit through those. So I think maybe I'll do them in parts. Or would you guys rather see one big 45-minute file be uploaded? You can watch and you can jump through it if you want. Or would you rather see me do a drawing like this in like 3 parts? I could do a sketch part, I could do a finalized sketch part, and then I could do a colorization part, something like this. Because if I were to turn this into a finished painting, it would probably take me about an hour. And that would be if I was in a real rush. I'd probably do it in an hour. I'd probably do it in 3 hours to make it, print ready, professional print ready. But right now, it's really just a sketchbook doodle. So let me know what you want to see, and I will try to accommodate you here at Monkworks. This is our first very, very quick thumbnail gesture painting. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a taste of the kind of thing that I plan on doing, and I'll do some more for you. And please leave your comments below. Thank you.